Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second round, third round, fourth round at the Crystal Palace Jamaica Basic School Foundation, and those on live streaming on social media, and welcome to ladies here. Now, before we get on to Miss Cherry Johnson talking about county lines and social media, which is very crucial, I happened to see Miss Layla Thomas. That's
Hello.
correct, yes?
That's correct. It's Layla Thomas, yeah.
Layla Thomas from Urban Synergy. She has been on my show already, the Silburn Show. But Layla, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You're in your colors, Jamaican colors.
I am.
Are you going to run around the park because you're always running all over the place and stuff like that?
You have to have a lot of energy for your community. You always have to have energy for your community.
Now, Urban Synergy, which your project is, if you tell me a bit about Urban Synergy for the persons, and also the key role it is playing now. As you know, this event and this discussion is around solutions-oriented summit, tackling knife and gun crime.
Yeah.
Now, with the work that you're doing and the mentorship program, if you can explain that and target towards this solution.
Sure. Urban Synergy is an early intervention mentoring charity. Works with 11 to 18-year-olds. Yes. So it's working with young people to broaden their career horizons. When it comes to, this is about knife crime. Yes. Young people, especially in London, being excluded in school. But a lot of the reasons for that, the root core is about aspirations, opportunities, showing them, young people, where they can be. So, exposing them to life beyond the school gates. So exposing them to positive role models, so lawyers, pilots, engineers, scientists, doctors, people that come from similar communities to themselves and look like them as well. Because when they turn on the TV, what young people are seeing a lot of is sport personalities and music industries, but they're not seeing people who look like them in those different professions. So what we're doing, we're bridging that gap. We're mentoring young people at a young age in school, and then connecting them to opportunities in the city in Canary Wharf, so they can make money.
And it's very crucial what you said right there, because most times teachers, and I'm from Jamaica, I came here in 92, so I'm an immigrant, but I'm coming straight from Yard, where everybody I see look like me.
Yes.
So therefore I have no issue about my identity.
Yes.
But what most time persons say in this country is that in school, sometimes their teachers tend not to encourage them beyond.
Yeah.
They tend to say you won't amount to much.
Well, also there's a stereotype as well. So if you turn on the TV and the news, and the amount of times you see young boys, with knives and everything, and broken families. So sometimes teachers can have low expectations of those young boys in particular. So what we do and try and do is bring those role models into the school, so it challenges those stereotypes in the school, so they can see people from different backgrounds, working in those different industries. And it need to join this network, or if they want to be in technology, you need to do this. Or, sometimes young people don't even know on CVs that if you don't put certain keywords in your CV, then agencies won't pick that up.
Right.
It's
a bit like hashtag.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So they're street knowledgeable, but they're not. When you ask a young person to say, "Tell me your greatest achievement," in a professional manner, they shut down.
Yes.
But they're very confident in school and amongst their friends. But as soon as it comes out meeting in a building a professional career, they're not that confident. They need people to help them to shine in that way. And
So therefore, the practical way how Urban Synergy operates is by bringing in the persons there who are out there doing the work, which makes it easier for you, innit? You're just really facilitating it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I work in technology myself, and well, that's one of the things for me. I was like the only female amongst a team of 13 guys.
Yes.
And I thought, we need to inspire girls at a young age to show that you can work in that industry and what it's like to work in that industry, and it's actually fun to work in that industry. To inspire them. Inspiration's a big thing.
So how can persons then get involved with Urban Synergy?
We've got a website, so our website's www.urbansynergy.com.
Yeah, we put that on that,
So you can volunteer your time, you can donate your money, because what we're doing this summer, we're taking young people like on experiences. So we take them to Downing Street, we do fun things, Reach Climbing Wall, we're taking them to Fort Park. And one of the big things that we're doing is we've raised funds, so they're going to get ILM Level 2 qualification.
Watch him, just sneak guy.
Yeah, exactly. He could be busy opening his chain of restaurants, he's got a lot to do. But what we do is just, it's just for self-esteem, self-worth, and let them know there's a community that really cares about them, because all children respond positively to love, and I think that's a massive, makes a massive difference.
Good. Well, Layla, listen, I want to thank you so much for getting to sneak you away from your family and your entourage, because your your entourage wouldn't come back, so we say let's just have you now, Say hi, Mom.
You. Hi, Mom. And Dad.
Okay.
We can't leave them out. Oh, yeah.
All right, well,
and family and sisters and cousins. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for. Okay, fantastic. Okay, thank you. Cheers. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to move swiftly on to Miss Cherry Johnson. Cherry Johnson is from she's a family therapist and behavior expert, Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2015, Honorable Southwark Civic Award winner 2017, and much more. But what she's going to speak about today is about county lines and social media. So I want to welcome Cherry Johnson. Thank you. Have a round of applause for Miss Cherry Johnson. Thank you. Yes? Are you high enough or short enough?
Yeah. Okay, that's better.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Sherry, good afternoon, yeah?
Afternoon, Sylvan. Thanks for having me. I'm so sick, guys, so apologies. I've got a fever.
Can you imagine? She's got the fever. Can you imagine when she's looking well then? Well, listen, the reason why I invited you on is because while speaking, we talked about county lines, and I've seen your different adverts where you're working with the police and with organizations about when children are missing, but also we tapped into social media as well, and we joined it up. So without further ado, can you just explain the work that you do, and especially linking with county lines and social media, Sherry? Thanks.
Okay, so I'm a family and behaviour therapist, and I am the founder of Shared Intent Support, which was the first 24-hour support agency that works with girls exiting gang lifestyle, serious violence and sexual exploitation. I felt it was important to open a service that was available after 5 p.m. because I've noticed most statutory and social care sectors close at 5, but young people's lives start after 3:30 when they finish school, am I right? So why would social services be closed if parents need assistance after 3:30? I also noticed that there was no organisation that works 24 hours a day. And if our young people need support, most of them, they're on the streets from about between 7 and 2 a.m. in the morning. So if all services are closed, who are going to capture these young people? During my journey of founding Shared Intent Support, I've worked across numerous local authorities across the UK. I've done partnership work with the EU, looking at women using violence, and worked with 6 countries in the EU to develop that plan, and then we delivered at the London City Hall. And then moving forward, I thought, okay, I need to expand my business. I need to be able to work with parents, because what I found over the years was that working with young people, you can't fix the problem. You have to work with the family. It has to be holistic. And that's where I feel like there's a borderline of almost disconnect. If youth workers and mentors are going in and working with just the young person and not acknowledging the parents and the families, they're almost reinforcing the line of disrespect and not honouring the parents' roles and, you know, their responsibility. So during the years of working in that hemisphere, I kind of picked up that social media is a big influence. And of course, you're all familiar with social media because you're aware of this Silborn show, which is on Facebook. But beyond the Facebook application, we have social media platforms that young people are using that we're just not aware of. And I found that over the 3 years, that if parents educate themselves in terms of social media applications, you'll definitely be able to safeguard your children. And I want you to understand what I'm saying to you. This is not about learning how to use the application for the benefit of yourself. It's actually learning the application so you can better safeguard your children. So what do I mean? So this is what a young person's phone normally looks like. right? You've got numerous applications on there. You probably have no idea what the applications mean and how important they are to that young person. That alone is an issue. You do? Which one do you know? This one? Viber. Well done. And Pinterest. Do you know how to use them and download them? Excellent, you're halfway there. So it's your responsibility to be able to identify these applications. So you've got Facebook, which is your common blue one, but the one I'm going to focus on today is this one. That's Snapchat. This is the most important application that you can think of. I want to show you how powerful Snapchat is. Every young person who I work with, or every local authority that has commissioned to do work, I add the young people on my Snapchat because I use it as a tool to encourage them and show them and share my journey. I can only say so much, but young people are very visual. So if I give them the opportunity to follow me on Snapchat, they definitely know I'm speaking the truth. What do I mean? So when I was getting ready to come here this morning, I Snapchat my journey. I shared the advert that Stillborn had put on Facebook, and then I shared it among all my young people on Snapchat platform. That was to inform them of the event, but also show them my continuous progress, that once you leave a particular lifestyle, you can definitely go on to do much better. So what is Snapchat? Snapchat is a social media application that works just like Facebook and Instagram. However, the advantages of Snapchat is messages are only on the timeline for 24 hours. So the young people add who they want to see on their Snapchat. Once they post a story, it's up there for 24 hours, but most importantly, they're able to view who in particular has seen their story. And you're probably thinking, why is that so important? Well, we know that social media influences our young people to a big extent. So they are interested in views, who's looking at their stuff, who are they influenced, and who can see what's going on. So, first of all, what does Snapchat do? Snapchat demonstrates your lifestyle. I demonstrate my lifestyle there. I show everything what's going on. I share information and I connect with people. In Snapchat, you can have a conversation with up to 32 to 34 people at one time. That means if I create a group and send a message out, those people in the group can see that message. It is gone once they open it. They can't see it again. And I want you to hold on to what I'm saying, because this then comes into the exploitation and the sexual exploitation online. You can view your story, and you, of course, as I said, you can count your numbers. It tells you who's recorded your post if somebody's recorded it. Now, in young people's terms, that's so important, because they're then able to see who is watching their story exactly, and they're also then able to share with their friends who has been watching their story. Now, county line shifts and borderline exploitation. This is a big part of your social media application on Snapchat. Most young people advertise shift work for young people to go out of town. What do I mean by out of town? I mean OT. It means out of London, to distribute and sell drugs as part of a network for people who are part of a bigger gang network. Now, majority of parents in here are probably thinking, what am I talking about? And that's the issue within itself. Most of you will see that young people have gone missing on Facebook, and you probably share again, and you probably add a few words and ask people to share, and have you seen this young person, etc. But it goes way beyond that, because a lot of the messages you are sharing, a lot of the children are actually not missing. And I want you to understand that a lot of the statistics wrapped up in missing people are a combination of those who are genuinely missing and those who have gone OT, out of town, to sell drugs actively. So remember what I said. If you have particular people on your Snapchat, they will offer shifts for your young person to go and sell drugs during the summer holiday, 2 or 3 days, and they'll tell them, look, you're just going OT out of London. You get a pair of trainers, you can make £200 and come back. Now, your young person, depending on how you parent, will tell you they've gone somewhere else or they've just gone missing. You start to stress and you don't know where that young person is, but 90% of the time, their network on social media knows where that young person is. So, county lines of missing person. What do I mean? Most people, I think within ITV, we've seen recently a number of documentaries where they've kind of done short snippets of young people being groomed, and, you know, they talk about them being in a capacity of being vulnerable. I need to just blow that out the water for you now. Not every young person who goes OT to sell drugs is vulnerable and groomed and has gone there against their will. A high percentage of young people go there willingly, knowing what is there to offer, knowing that their parents are going to be looking after them, but because you as parents have not chosen to educate yourself on how the application works, you can only access a limited medium of information in terms of where your young person is. And I want you to just sit down and take that in a minute. Parents who are able to maneuver around social media are those who tend to have better results at finding their young person and able to capture who their young person is actually hanging out with. Your network and friends at times. Now, the beauty about Snapchat is if you add your child on Snapchat, it then throws up a list of people that you might share in common with them, which is their friends. Add them. Because I'm sure we've heard the saying, if you show me your company, I'll tell you who you are. Am I right? So if you know the kind of company your children are moving amongst, you'll then be able to kind of determine what your children are up to. Most young people actually display what they're up to on their social media application. They don't use Facebook because they know parents are on Facebook. They do not use no form of Facebook to send messages, to share movements, because they know majority of the parents on there or family relatives. So it's for you to update yourself in terms of how do you use the social media application. So I'm much a solution focused person, and I want to throw some solutions out there to you. How many of you have a smartphone in your hand right now? I can see probably 2 adults over there, the lady, the gentleman, the photographer. How many of you have a smartphone? Just put your hand up for me, please. Don't be shy. Okay, so majority of us have a smartphone. How many of you have Snapchat on your phone? No. How many have heard of Snapchat before I kind of highlighted it today? Right. Can I ask you to do me a favor if you have a teenage child? Can you go into your app store and download Snapchat? I don't want you... Did you shake your head? Why? It's delete from his phone. Okay, cool. But I still want you as a parent to take a bit of responsibility on how it maneuvers, because he's not going to stay young forever. And it is going to be a platform that he's going to go on. So the earlier you master it, is the better you can kind of maneuver around him, yeah? So when you get a moment, download the application and take the time to get to know it. It's very straightforward. And before I finish my set, I'll probably take a picture of all you guys, and then what I'll do is I'll put it on my Snapchat, and then we'll see how many young people that comes back to me and says, oh, that's my auntie, that's my uncle. And then I'll post them to Silborn, and then he can share them with you, because what you don't understand is Snapchat is very, very powerful. So let's look at some safeguarding solutions. Parents, I need you to understand and accept that change is here. Social media can make young people millionaires if used correctly. But social media can also take away a lot of young people's lives if used incorrectly. So I need you to get a grip of it and understand it is here to stay, and there's only going to be furthermore development. Number 2, I want you to educate yourself on what young people are doing. It is your responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility. It is you as those who are in your household. I'm hoping that every parent standing here today knows where their child is. And for me, I govern my house quite close. So if my daughter wasn't here with me today, there's no way she would be out, because I'm not at home. And if any emergency was to happen to her while I'm out, they go straight to my registered address. I'm not there. So she would have to remain home, and that's just to limit, and that's to safeguard her. Speak with other parents and community professionals. A lot of people do not reach out to the professionals here. I speak across the country, and what I find is that our community is closed to seeking advice. Advice is free, and at times when you need it, the best place you can get it from are from those in the community and the specialists and the expert who are working in and among the community. It's your responsibility to ask if you don't know. And also, download and get to know the application. If you notice you're on the application and you don't see nothing from your child, they have blocked you. So have that conversation with them. Say to them, Mary, James, I'm not seeing anything on your post snap. Have you blocked me? And what you find is, A, that conversation is able to enable communication between you and your young person. And also, it gives you a somewhat power into something that is new and very foreign to parents. So what I want you to do is take away from today is that you have responsibilities as safeguarding your children to A, educate yourself on the application, B, get to know, and C, if you don't know, then ask for support.
Thank you, Cheryl. Don't go anywhere. Now, the police also is trying to address this particular issue here. And is that working with all county lines? Because it seems like there's lots of research and lots of work out there, but is it happening?
So I tell you what, being honest, is the police commission people like myself and other experts to assist them with the area that they have no knowledge. And what's really interesting is the police will tell us they don't have the solution. And that's why they're looking for all types of alternatives and various interventions. So what can I say? I don't expect the police to do the whole job. So I don't have high expectations on them, but they're very open to looking at multi-agency working and trying to address the strategy from there.
So what is the key 3 points? I mean, that have come up through your sort of work and other community person's work. Since the police are saying, hey, we need help here, what is the work that you guys are doing?
Right, so the first key point is we need to work in unison. We cannot be working in silos and we expect to have the job done. Number 2, we need to throw our pride away as parents, and sometimes we need to throw over our cultural barriers. So I do a lot of work in terms of the police in informing them of cultural perspective. So one thing I trained Northamptonshire Police on was understanding cultural perspective in terms of if you have an estate where you have predominant, let's say, Jamaican families, because I'm from Jamaican heritage, so I can only speak on my own. We were socialised, from young. My mum Saturday she tells us to go and play out from like 11 o'clock in the morning. That's because she's tidying up the house, spinning around the furniture, wiping down the skirting board. She doesn't want us in. So we would go out and play. And if you think about it, if you have 40 Jamaican families on one estate, you're going to have 40 odd children possibly outside playing. Now, what I'm trying to teach the police is this. In Jamaica, we do not culturally go into each other's houses. I can come and check you and sit on your veranda. We can see Mary. We tell Mary to come and sit down on the veranda, and we're reasoning for hours, and you haven't been in the house. What I want them to understand is they are dealing with parents who are first generation, and their children are second generation. So that cultural perspective hasn't been lost as yet. It's not watered down. So a lot of these children you see out on the outside, who you assume are in gang activities, are actually just congregating because their parents have the same cultural values. Another one I'm going to throw back at the parents is you have to get to know the application. What I see in my community is I will go around and speak to parents, and some of them will roll their eyes. I don't need to learn how to use Snapchat. I don't need to learn how to use Instagram. That's the issue there. You can't display ignorance if you want your children not to show ignorance.
Any questions from anyone in the audience? Anybody have any questions to ask Sherry? Yeah, please.
Once again, my name is Darren Gregg. I'm a mentor.
Hi, Darren.
I'm not going to cuss the government.
Please don't.
I was going to earlier, but I'm not going to do it now. But yeah, county lines. What do you feel is being done by the government and the police, as well as organisations like yourselves, to prevent this, or at least do something to stem it a little bit?
Okay, so the government kind of does a national strategic approach where it kind of brings community workers, specialists, big organisations, etc., to work across like a national plan. And then how that filters down to us individually is we might work to particular outcomes, to keep the neighbourhood safe, to reduce serious violence. My specialism is to reduce sexual exploitation and exploitation of young people. In terms of how that's delivered, everybody kind of varies. Now, what I'm going to say to you is this. There's only so much we can do, as well as organisations and government. We really need the parents to get on to it. What do I mean? We have parents here who, your children go missing for 3 days. 2 weeks later, they buy you a 43-inch plasma TV. Your son has no job. You've seen no letter come from Universal Credit. You and I both know he's not working, but you accepted the TV. So the parents have compromised their principles there and then. Respect is lost. Your son then has the TV, and he then starts to buy particular items in the house. Mum is losing parental control and responsibility because all the monetary things are coming in. She seems to forget her role. Does that make sense? So we need parents to be able to say no and not be afraid of saying no. When I hear parents kind of say, yeah, but I'm afraid my son attacks me. Okay. Listen to me and listen to me good. Bend the tree from when it's young. And if not, you can't be afraid of the government to discipline your child. Does that make sense? You need to be strong. And I always say to people, if you're struggling, send them back home. It's as simple as that. Send them back home, deal with them how you need to back there, and bring them up when you come to. So it's a short but big answer. I can't answer it all in one, but we've all got our bit to play as a collective.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, get involved with Snapchat. Get involved with Snapchat and social media, Instagram, Pinterest, what? Viber?
Yeah, so the
YouTube?
ones I want you to be concerned about are Snapchat and Instagram. So this lifestyle that you see, young people, how you see living their lifestyle, it's all played out on social media. In terms of myself, how I'm so successful with what I do, I use the same tool that's destroying the young people to uplift them and show them positive things. I have to buy into particular things because a young person is not going to see a mentor of a particular age and hear her speaking and think, I need to change my life. Because most of these young people are earning a particular type of money that almost, if they see their mentor driving a Vauxhall Corsa and their friends are driving A-class Mercedes, there's no respect. So there's some things that you have to understand, you know, like I buy into the technology thing. So all my young people think I'm cool because I got an iWatch, you know, I like cars, I keep up to date. Yeah, I'm up to the time. You know, I keep up to the time with stuff. So I can attract them and draw them in. But I show them everything that I acquire is through honest money. So you can still look like you're living that life, but you have an honest way of earning that money.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Cherry Johnson, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And of course, you said persons can reach you.
Yes, so my website is www.sherry, Johnson.co.uk. There's like some posters I've left out there. But Silborn, before we go, my Snapchat knew I was coming here, so I just wouldn't be able to finish without...
You're going to Snapchat us?
Of course!
Okay.
Hey!
And this is all to the youths.
And this is all to the youths, so we're just letting the youths know that we're here at the Silborn show, which I've shared on my way. Okay. And what I'm going to do is post it to you.
Awesome.
And then you can put it on your Snapchat. Yeah, cool. Well, you better be.
Oh, sugar. I think I'm on Snapchat, but I never use it,
You better use it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to Cherry Johnson. Thank you. Thank you. And I've got another guest, which I'm going to bring on quickly because she's got to go, which is Miss Rachel O'Cullough. Now, there's something else that when some of these boys are arrested and they are gone to prison, they leave prison and they believe that they are going to go straight into the street. But they get deported because their papers weren't really straight. So Rachel O'Cullough, who is a solicitor and deals a lot with deportation and also on the Windrush, she's going to come and speak briefly as to her role in this particular maze. Yes? Miss Rachel O'Cullough, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Birmingham.
Yes.
Broom, broom.
Right, yeah. I was in London as well.
You're
in central London.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, careful, Rachel. Yeah.
Okay.
So Rachel, we had earlier Mr. Stephen Akinson as a barrister. He was talking about what happened when young boys, young girls are perpetrators and they go to prison and the whole judicial system. But you're talking now about the whole judicial system with them when they're actually finished their criminal sentence. And we're live stream as well. So if you can.
So hello everybody, it's lovely to be here. My name is Rachel O'Cullough and I'm a solicitor based in Birmingham. I've been a solicitor since 2002 and I started my practice in 2007 and I devote it 98% to immigration.
So just 1 second. If you want to come inside, please come inside. You can come straight to the back. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come inside. Okay.
So I started my practice in 2007 and 98% of that is devoted to immigration. I help people a lot regularize their immigration status. That's my expertise. That's what I do. And I also help people who are going through deportation. And there are two types of deportation. There's criminal deportation and there is what we call administrative removal. So if somebody hasn't got their papers sorted out, they've overstayed their visa, then they can be administratively removed, which sometimes people say that is deportation, but it isn't in the very strict sense of the word. So what I'm going to address today is criminal deportation. And you've just heard Cheryl talking about how young people get into crime. And you've also heard about how young people serve their criminal sentences. So I come in really with deportation work at the very end of all that. So the young person has got into crime and then they've gone to prison. And many of the young people in our community and the Jamaican community in particular haven't sorted out their papers. So there are a lot of young people who came to the United Kingdom at a very young age from Jamaica with their parents, and their parents never regularised their status, or they did, but they never actually made them become British, which is fair enough. Not everybody wants to be British. You just may want to have indefinite leave to remain, and that is fine. But if this young person, and we hear today that it's very easy for young people to drift into a life of crime. So if this young person commits a criminal offence, or anybody who's not a British citizen commits a criminal offence and goes to prison for more than 12 months, then they are liable to be automatically deported from the United Kingdom. So an awful lot of our young people who get involved in criminality grow up in the country. Some of them are even born here, but they're not actually British because of their immigration status, they're not British. Or they come here sometimes at age 4, get involved in criminality around about age 15, 16, full British accent. They've gone to school here, they've grown up here, they look British, they sound British. They're integrated with their British friends, but they are not British. So if they commit a criminal offence, and get a prison sentence of more than 12 months, with their friends who are British, then their British friends will be released from prison. But the Jamaican person will then continue to be detained after their prison sentence in immigration detention, so that they can then be deported from the United Kingdom. And a lot of young people don't actually realise that. And the result of that is that parents end up spending thousands and thousands of pounds on solicitors' fees trying to get their children to stay in the United Kingdom. You will be deported unless you can show that you have an exemption to deportation. But because I'm addressing young people today, a lot of them don't actually qualify for the exemptions, because although they may have been here for many years, they don't actually have a family life, they don't have children here, they're not very established in the UK in the sense of if they were a lot older. And so they are highly likely to be deported. And equally, and it's very important what Cheryl was saying earlier when she was saying that a lot of the, which I didn't know actually, when they disappear, sometimes they're off maybe selling drugs somewhere, because an awful lot of the young people I come across they go to prison for firearms and Class A drugs. And I'm thinking to myself, where on earth do these young people find firearms and Class A drugs? I mean, you don't say it to them because you're the solicitor, but in my mind, I'm thinking, where are they finding these Class A drugs? So I'm a little bit enlightened, actually, today as to how this can happen and how easily it can happen. Without their family members, because a lot of them, the mothers will be here, may have remarried, and fathers sometimes may not be in the picture, and certainly they may not have any family members in Jamaica. So it's just to highlight that, really. You know, I could say make sure if your children are eligible to be British, make them British. But what I actually want to say, because obviously if they're British, they're not going to be subject to deportation proceedings. But what I want to get across today really is that these young people shouldn't be committing these offences. And if they do commit these offences, they are highly likely, if they're not British, to be deported. And the government will not stop until they get them out of the country. So the question was to specify how we classify. Yeah, exactly. Because some of them say, I'm British. No. Unless you have been registered as a British citizen and you can get a British passport, you're not British. So you will be British if, for example, you were born here to a British parent or a parent who had indefinite leave to remain. or you came here and you served out your long residence period and then you registered or you naturalised as British. But unless you actually qualify for a British passport, you are not British. And don't forget that when you've committed that criminal offence, you're never going to be British, even if you would have ordinarily qualified, because then they won't let you be British because you've already committed a criminal offence. I'm talking about non-British citizens, yeah.
So, for instance, if a child or a youth was born to immigrants, or somebody immigrated from Jamaica, but they were born here, so would they be classified as being British?
So British nationality law is different to really just immigration law. So you can be born here and not be British. And I have known people to be born here and be subject to deportation proceedings.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I just want to say thank you for clearing that up, because over the years I've worked with a number of people who have been deported back, and some of the sad things that come out is parents are not having honest conversations with their children in terms of their status. So a lot of them come here when they're young, they're protected by the Children's Act, you know, but the parents don't realise that runs out, you know, at the age of 18, and during that process they should have been trying to sort out their children's citizenship. I'm very happy that you highlighted that anything over 12 months is an automatic subject check. And most importantly, we need to have the conversations with our children that don't have a particular status. They need to know that what Johnny can do, you can't do.
That's it. What Johnny can do, you can't do. That's why I travelled all the way from one end of London to the other, because we really need to emphasise this, because it's happening. A lot of our young people are just disappearing. Because at the end of the day, you know, likely to go to prison for more than 12 months and sometimes more than 4.
Well, I'm shifting slightly. You know, London seems to be the hub of the crime. But in Birmingham, what is it like in Birmingham with knife and gun crime?
It's the same. I mean, London's a bigger place, and we hear more knife crime in London. But I live in just outside Birmingham in Sutton Coldfield.
Very controversial, but Birmingham, Johnsons and Burger Boys, is it? Are they still involved, or are the youngers now doing the crime?
Well,
I don't think she is.
well, you know, it's one of those things that makes us wonder why they can't defeat knife crime, really, because certainly when the Johnsons and Burgers were at their peak in Birmingham and the police got fed up of them, they just kicked down everybody's door, arrested everybody. And new wave of young people who have taken over. It can be quite violent there as well. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, without further ado, no, we're not finished. We're waiting on you. We're waiting on you. Have you got a question you want? Please.
Okay, it's like a sort of immigration thing, yeah? Because I heard you said just now that, like, if a child is born of a parent, even British, I don't know if I get the story right that you were saying. Because, for example, I was born here, but I was grown in Jamaica from I was 3 years old, done all my schooling and everything, and I came back in 2000. Well, I met, well, my husband, he was my boyfriend then, And he came here on more than one occasion, and we got married here in Brixton. And he went back home. And I have been trying from 2004 to get him up that he can come and help me look after my son. And then during the process, this 18,000 threshold thing came in. And I have never earned 18,600 for the year. But I do know that if my husband had come to join me, my life would have been better, and that of my son. My son is now 17 years old, and because of this immigration system, I am not only a lone parent, but my son has been a fatherless child. What does your organization have to do with that, about that?
That's the last question.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so the threshold is 18,600, and last year the Supreme Court upheld that that was lawful, even though the minimum wage, even if you worked full-time, you wouldn't get 18,600. But what they did say is that other things can be taken into consideration. So if there are children, if there's disability, if there's exceptional circumstances, then they can take that into consideration.
Okay. All right, well, okay, well, thank you. And you can have a chat with Rachel after, if anything, before she dashes to Birmingham. I want to thank you so much, Rachel. You got to dash to Birmingham now, isn't it?
Yes, I'm going to. Might get some jerk chicken and then go.
Get some jerk chicken along the way. Okay, well, thank you so much. And one applause for Rachel Okello. Thank you. And before, we're going to have the High Commissioner, who is going to come and have a chat now on this whole issue. Excuse me. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Fantastic.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and live streaming, we've got the High Commissioner of Jamaica, the Honorable Ambassador Seth Ramakun. Did I get it right, sir? Sir, as you know, this is the first of the solution-oriented summit here at the Jamaica Basic School Foundation. We found that in light of what is happening in London, to somehow incorporate sessions on how to look at some of the solutions. As you are the Jamaica High Commissioner, what's your views on what's happening in London, well, UK, regarding in terms of knife crime and gun crime, and your thoughts?
Yeah, certainly this is a very unfortunate aspect of the issues that are happening on the ground, and particularly that, you know, it's predominantly young people that are involved. This is something that I'm sure that the authorities have been doing some kind of study and investigation in really the causes, because usually these things happen because there are some underlying reasons. Either it is that these young people feel inadequate, they feel ignored, they feel a sense of not accomplishing what they would like, and they want to make a name for themselves. And they do that by getting into gangs or other groups that seek to acknowledge them and make them feel that they are they're a person. Usually you'll find that the persons who are trying to woo you into this kind of a behavior will try to make you feel that, well, this is a way to show power. Yes. And that's very, very unfortunate. I would like to commend you and your team for this initiative, because I think the dialogue and the discourse is very, very important. I think the dialogue with the young people, because more than likely you'll find that other young people, particularly in the community, they have a sense of what's on the minds of these individuals, what they are going through. In fact, maybe some of them have been approached. And they can tell you, what transpired, how it went about. Because unless we get to the root and meet these young people, then that is going to be. The second thing I'd like to suggest, which I'm sure is something that you do, it's that there are a number of organizations within the community that have the interests of family and young people at heart. And among them is the church. Yes. The church community has a leadership, it has compassion, it has a very deep root into the community, and has an interest in the well-being of the community. And I feel that if it were possible to get that sort of dialogue going with, you know, these church groups and so on, it may bear some fruit. Because when I say bear fruit, it may not be immediate result of stopping knife crime. But, you know, if you don't have proper knowledge as to what is driving this, what are the causes beneath it, you're not going to be able to take, you know, adequate or proper action in order to solve it. So I heard your discourse. I heard a number of persons here today sharing, and you know, I think that that is just a great start. I'm sure a number of the folks sitting here are from communities in which they too are concerned, and they would want to know, well, where is the solution? What is really going to be done? The last thing I would want to see is that we go about, you know, treating the young people with disdain because of this. You know, I think we need to find a solution, because I believe that they themselves are victims, and you know, we need to address that.
So in a sense, what you're saying now is that we've got to really engage with the young people.
Yes.
We've got to engage with the churches.
That's right.
We've got to engage with different organizations to be at the table to really discuss this thing. Now, there's always a saying that we talk too much and we keep talking, but I would agree with you, and I believe that talking is important.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
Now, as with the High Commission, I mean, and what are some of the concerns that you may have directly, without saying much about?
Oh yes, well, we do have, because sometimes you find that when these things happen, it tends to reflect on our community.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it takes just one or two incidents for people to form some kind of a view of the community that is certainly doesn't properly represent, you know, who we are. But, you know, whenever anything like this happens, and I do understand, the media will take it and they really ride with it. That doesn't happen necessarily when all the other good things are happening. So we have an interest in seeing this, you know, being downplayed, because it tends to give the wrong impression of the community, that of the Caribbean and particularly Jamaican community, you know, where these things really occur. I would really love to hear from some of the, you know, persons who are doing the deeper investigation, the social workers who are in the communities and are working with these young people and some of the issues. I understand, just from the little knowledge I have, that there is a sort of lack of resources, you know, in some of these communities, that the schools do not necessarily have the same level of support for these children. Many of these children, you know, they leave school because of, you could say, affordability, you know, parents being able to do that. What I have discovered is that in many instances, the persons who carry out these incidents, when you check it out, they are gifted children. They are children who are bright. They are children who have great ideas. They are children who can think, they're smart. And so it is really a sort of misdirection of the use of very good resources, very good talent, very bright young people. If they had another kind of opportunity, another kind of chance, you'd be surprised to see how, you know, they take off. Yes. And what we need to do too is to have one or two examples of persons who were probably involved in that, have come out of it, and to have them be the persons who sit in seats like this.
Yes, yes, that is so important, as you mentioned about the dialogue, and that is something that through the organization, what we're doing is to also take that on board as well, especially for the young people, to let people hear what they are saying and what are some of the things, you know.
Absolutely.
But before you go,
yes.
What is your message to Jamaica? Tomorrow is Independence Day.
Yes.
And what's your message to the Jamaican community? We're live streaming, and what's your message? Or any key things also the Jamaica High Commission is doing?
Yeah, well, one of the things I'd like to say is that Jamaica is really making some very strides in terms of fulfilling its objective to become a developed country by the year 2030, which is the Vision 2030. Jamaica is aimed to become the place of choice to live, to work, to raise families, to do business. Jamaica is progressing in the sense that we have the lowest unemployment level that we have ever experienced. In other words, more people are employed at this time. And you know that jobs is a big thing to work against crime, right? Because if people are occupied and they're getting jobs and so on, they are able to think otherwise. That is one of the great things that are happening. The second thing is that I would like to encourage particularly the second, third generation of Jamaicans here to think about Jamaica from a sort of self-interest point of view. And by that I mean, you know, to say that you're from Jamaica, your parents are from Jamaica, doesn't make that cause people to want to be involved. Right? That's not enough. It got to be more. People must know that there is some sort of benefit for my relationship there. And I want to say that there are many, many small investment opportunities in Jamaica. We, you know, going after the billionaire and so on to come and invest in Jamaica is not really the way to go. The World Bank has done research. The USAID has done research, and they have shown where a country like Jamaica can be way ahead of the game if only all its people were,
the diaspora.
Yes, the diaspora in particular, were involved. So we want to encourage individuals to look and see where are the opportunities in Jamaica for me. Where can I find a way that the funds that I am getting 0 point something interest on, that I can get maybe, you know, 5% or 10% on, you know, something like that. So those are the things that I would like to encourage to look at Jamaica again, look at Jamaica from an investment perspective, a perspective of how you can make use of it. Why am I saying that? Because there are a lot of investors coming into Jamaica, and they are the ones who are sort of gaining this thing. And we think that, you know, we'd like to see more of our own people being the owners of Jamaica.
Well, Commissioner, I want to thank you so much for that. Any last word? Any one question?
Yes, sir.
I like asking questions, you know.
Yes.
I'm Darren Gregg, I'm British born, parents are Jamaican, yeah? It's a bit of a controversial question again, sorry. For British people, what does the Jamaican High Commission do? I don't see anything, sorry.
Okay.
So.
The Jamaican High Commission is the representative of the government of Jamaica here in the United Kingdom. Countries have relationships. So we have relationships with America, Canada, Britain, you know, in Nigeria, you know, various countries that we have relationships with. And those relationships are for several reasons. One, to build good friendly relationship, but also to find ways and means in which we can relate to each other for mutual benefit. So we deal with things that we call bilateral relationships. That means two countries, you know, relating to each other. Multilateral relationships, that is Jamaica and the Commonwealth of countries, the way we relate. We deal also with our diaspora, which is critical and important, and to be able to, you know, to work with the diaspora in various ways. Some of what I was talking about earlier, but other things we provide the services of what are called consular services. These are the services of like your visa and your passport and all the various other things. So the Jamaica High Commission is a place to be in touch with. And of course, we want to have our mailing list growing so that we can invite persons to the many, many events that we have from time to time. Just a few days ago, we had the Independence Church service. And of course, over 1,000 people, I guess, were there. But, you know...
Those were live stream as well.
It was live stream.
So you got more thousands as well.
That's right. But that's correct. But, you know, we would like to have even more people there. But it's a way in which we want our people in the diaspora to know that Jamaica defines itself not just as an island in the Caribbean, but as a nation that is dispersed across the globe. Therefore, wherever you are a part of Jamaica.
Aye, aye, aye. Okay, one question.
Yeah, I need to find out. I went over there to inquire about getting a Jamaican passport. I am British by birth. My parents, mother and father, are Jamaican. And I'm interested in getting a passport for my son and myself. Now, they're telling me that I need to have my parents' birth certificate as proof that my parents were born here. Born there, sorry.
Yes.
What can the Jamaica High Commission do to assist me? Because my parents are deceased. Okay. And I said I don't know where I can get their birth certificate. So is there anything that the High Commission can do to help me get a birth certificate?
Yes.
From there?
You can go back to my colleagues and let them know that you're having a difficulty getting your parents' birth certificate.
Yeah.
Anyone can apply for your birth certificate, your parents' birth certificate. I could do the same for you who were born here. I can get your mother's birth certificate. So you yourself can get your mother or father's birth certificate in Jamaica. The Registrar General Department and they were here just about 3 weeks ago taking applications.
Oh.
You could have applied for your mother's birth certificate. It would have cost you £40.
Okay.
You can do that online. So just say to them that you'd like the application form to apply for your mother's birth certificate. I always say to customers, start with your mother, because your mother's name is always going to be on your birth certificate. For some of us, our father's name is not there. So if your father's name is not there, you cannot get citizenship through him. But most certainly, you can get it through your mother. So just go back to them and ask them for the information on how to get a birth certificate from Jamaica. Yeah?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, High Commissioner, I'm not going to keep you much longer. So, any last word? That's it?
Well, it was such a pleasure to be here. I've been here all day almost, and
you're doing the marathon. You always do the marathon.
And I'm telling you, you know, many people look at us and say, "How is it that our community come together like that?" Yes. You know, our people are so passionate about their country. They are so involved. You know, you see all the colors people are wearing. If they're not wearing a wristband with the colors, you know, they're wearing something with the colors. But we are really a wonderful people. Jamaica is so well known across this globe. It is one of the few countries that if you took the flag and put it up in the air, people can say which country it is. We are very well known. And why? Is because we have a wonderful diaspora. People who are living in other countries who promote Jamaica. Do you know, as I leave, in the year 2012, the National Geographic magazine published an article showing the top national dishes in the world, the 10 top national dishes in the world. And when they checked it, Jamaica, ackee and saltfish was number 2, the second most popular national dish in the world. But it goes more than that. You know which one was number 1? Hamburger.
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 Somebody says
think of what it took in order to have Burger King, McDonald's, billions of dollars to get hamburger at number 1. Question, how did Jamaica come number 2? It's because of the power of the Jamaican diaspora. Bless you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Round of applause to the Jamaica High Commissioner. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come for Miss Paula Perry in 10 minutes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hello, 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 hello.